Okay, awesome. So that's the name of the episode I have just watched. And to be honest with you, this is another one that holds up pretty well. It's not reliant on technology or anything at the time. It's just, and it takes advantage of the rules that it's set up by. Is that it's one guy telling the story, and there's two incidents of where he wasn't witness to, but he's been told this is what happened. So you got to remember that while watching the show it's someone telling a story, and that's really interesting in that respect. So there's a lot of those sitcom-y things that happen that you're like, whoa. So Barney, Ted, and Robin go out to this club which is called OK. Really weird name for a club, but okay. So there's that one, and that story, and Lily and Marshall are just trying to act their age and not having a lot of fun, and Barney and Ted are not really having a lot of fun, and Robin is feeling like a celebrity just because someone's recognized her. And I can imagine in the TV world that happening to someone whose ego gets boosted when they get recognized for the first time. I can imagine Ted not having fun at a club because he doesn't seem like a guy that would go to a club frequently to pick up women. That's more Barney's thing to do. And he spends the entire night grinding with someone who he doesn't really whose face he can't really see because he's behind her the whole time. And when he finally sees who it is, it's his cousin. And that's really interesting because she's African American, or at least looks it. So, and that's supposed to be his cousin. So, which is interesting. She looks familiar too. Looks like someone, and Barney's this white blonde-haired guy, and she's, well, not. So I'm wondering if it's more that she's related to his brother and not really him. But so that's, to me, that's interesting. Interesting little tidbit for going forward when we finally meet the Barney's brother. Ted meets a coat check girl. Story which I didn't see getting connected back to, because I thought every time we go to this episode, I would say that coat check girl is really cute and sexy, really my type. So why don't we follow up on this story? And they eventually did, which is really interesting. But it took a long time. Same with the next episode, which we'll talk about in a minute. So overall, I would say this was a pretty good episode. The Lily and Marshall thing's really interesting. The Ted story is really interesting. The Barney thing's funny. The weak part of the story is, weirdly enough, the Robin story. It's not, but there's not a lot of it there. It's really interesting. We get some cameos from the guy that plays Marshall, Jason Segel's friends from Freaks and Geeks. A few of them get a cameo in this. There, a bunch of guys lining up to get in the club. So, and this doesn't seem like a episode that had a huge amount spent on it set wise. Like, they built this new set and for this episode, and most of it takes place in the club's dance floor and the standing sets, and just again, great not great, very good episode. Next we got The Slutty Pumpkin, another episode that doesn't get picked up on until later in the series, so stay tuned.